Okay, we'll call back to order. So this is the Committee of the Whole meeting, Tuesday, April 28th at 8:26. So we'll call to order. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof can be said now or when the item comes up. And we are at the consent reports. So the recommended motion is that Committee of the Whole recommend council approve the consent recommendations C1 to C4. Is there anything that someone would like pulled from that? Councillor Holmes?
I'd like to pull C2, please.
Okay, so C2 is pulled. Is there anything else? All right, so the adjusted motion then is that Committee of the Whole recommend council approve the consent recommendations of C1 and C3 and C4. Is there a mover and seconder for that? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Suter, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, and so we'll move to C2. Councillor Holmes, do you want to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. I move to suspend the rules to reconsider item E2 Recreation Club Capital Recovery Fund Resolution number CW26-268. Please.
Okay, so noted. This is a special resolution, so it requires 2/3, which would be 4 out of 5 of us. 4 out of 6, sorry, Mayor Lowry's here now. We can debate, but only on the motion, not on the item itself. Are there any questions, any comments? Do you want to speak to it first, Councillor Holmes? On the suspension alone? No? Okay. Oh, okay. So do we have a seconder to suspend that? Councillor Ferguson, thank you. All in favor? Oh, let's do that again. All in favor? And that carries. So that means that we can now have a second motion. How did you want to deal with that, Councillor Holmes? Since it's been, we're not going to now go to a committee, sorry, a separate meeting. How did you want to deal with that?
I'd like to put forth a motion to reconsider. And my motion is, I move that Committee of the Whole reconsider motion CW26-068, that Committee of the Whole refer the report to a special meeting for further discussion on developing the guiding principles. And I'll note that I voted on the prevailing side.
Okay, thank you very much. So this debate can happen, but only on the motion, correct? Okay.
Yes,
all right.
only on the motion of reconsideration.
All right. So Councillor Holmes is asking us to reconsider the vote we had last week to go to a special council meeting. And does anybody want to speak to that at all? Oh, seconder. Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Ferguson, thank you. Does anyone want to speak to that? Councillor Holmes?
I'll just mention that I think this is and not to diminish the original motion or anything like that, but I think that we could have done a better job of providing a motion for staff, and I'd like to have the opportunity to do that, please.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor? And that carries. So now I believe we are going back to the original motion. Is that correct? So now we have a debate on the original motion, which was that Committee of the Whole refer the report to a special meeting for further discussion on developing the guiding principles. Councillor Holmes, did you want to make that motion?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
And did you want, and then the seconder to put it on the floor? Councillor Suter. So we'll now have debate on the original motion, which was referring the report to a special meeting. And Councillor Holmes, you go first.
Thank you. I brought this back because after consideration, I felt that we had done our staff a disservice. We already have some guiding principles in our strategic plan that would have fit very well. And, and that's governance. Operations is carrying it out. And I feel that we'd be better served if our staff did the operations part. So I felt I had to bring it back for some more discussion. Thank you.
Any comments, questions, thoughts? Yep, Deputy Mayor.
So how are you going to do that, Bev? Are you going to send it back to staff again, or?
So once we vote on this, if it passes, then if it passes, it needs to be defeated. If it is not, now you've lost me. Over to the clerks. Thank you.
So the motion on the floor is to refer it to a special meeting. There can't be an amendment. It's not a simple amendment to change that direction. So to change the direction, if we want to refer it to staff, you have to defeat that motion and put a new motion on the floor to refer it to staff.
So basically, we have to defeat this motion. So if we would like to refer this back to staff, we have to defeat this motion and put a new motion on the floor. For those of you at home that are confused, it's a long procedural way to get to the point where we can do a better job of what we did last week and send this report back to staff. So all in favor of referring this report to a special meeting for further discussion? All opposed? Okay, and that carries. Would you like to put forward a new motion, Councillor Holmes?
I would, and I believe Casey can put it up on the screen for us.
Read it for Mayor Lowry.
Thank you.
So Mayor Lowry, the motion on the screen says that committee of the whole refer the Recreation Club Capital Recovery Fund report back to staff with direction to use the strategic principles identified in the 2023 to 2027 strategic plan as the guiding principles, and that staff bring back a revised report to the committee of the whole meeting by, and it's blank, so a specific date would need to be assigned by council.
CAO Kelly, do you have any idea of what would be reasonable? We don't want to put the staff under the gun, seeing as we've just thrown this back at them. We're just looking at the timing, Mayor Lowry.
To the chair, to either Councillor Holmes or the chair, is the idea that this would be referred back to staff and that there would be some process of dialogue between councillors and staff?
Yeah.
What I'm thinking of is we had a similar process with the governance review that the clerk ran maybe a
Yeah.
year ago.
What I would recommend is those of us that have feedback to give to staff to go directly to staff and give it to them so they can incorporate it into the report. I know I had a few items, and I know Councillor Torrance isn't here, but she had a few items. And that will just keep staff moving forward and at the same time clarify what exactly we're looking for. So the date?
I think May 28th is a doable date.
May 28th.
Chair?
Okay, so to bring back a revised report to the committee of the whole meeting by May 28th, 26th.
26.
May 26th, correction. All right. And you'd like to make that motion?
I would.
Okay, is there a seconder? Councillor Ferguson, thank you. Any discussion on that? Again, if you have items in that report, or maybe you want to review it again and send your feedback to CAO Kelly and the recreation manager. Okay, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. That takes care of item C. And so we're on to D. There are no consultant presentations. And we have our first staff report of the night, E1, recommendation report for Baker's Quarry subdivision, draft plan extension. Director Knight is with us. Did you have a report or a presentation, I mean?
Good evening, Chair. I do have one with some draft plan images and some process flows if anyone has any questions, but I'll only bring it up if there's questions.
Okay. Does anybody have questions on this for Director Knight? It was an extension of 2 years to go from draft plan to the next stage, which is, help me out.
That's correct. So it's a request to extend the draft approval for 2 years in order to have some time to register the subdivision agreement.
Any questions? Yep, Mayor,
No,
or
no,
Deputy Mayor?
It comes to county, all this stuff comes to county all the time, so it's pretty standard stuff, so. I'll move the motion.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that? Counselor Suter? Any other discussion? Mayor Lowry? Oh, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Director. All right, E2, Mississippi Mills Climate Action Plan. 2026 Part A is Zach with us online? Okay. So I'm sorry, I've forgotten Zach's Mashonas, but his role, thank you, and title. Environmental Compliance Coordinator, Zach Mashonas is with us. Hi, Zach. Haven't seen you for a while.
Good evening.
Do you have a presentation for us? I'll just hand it over to you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure you guys do see my presentation.
We can.
Perfect. Thank you. So today I'm presenting the Climate Action Plan Part A. Just a bit of a recap. In 2024, the municipality of Mississippi Mills directed staff to begin development of a local climate action plan. And in addition, following Lanark County's footsteps, to join the Partners for Climate Protection program, which guides the creation of a climate action plan. So in joining the Partners for Climate Protection program, it's a 5 milestone framework which guides the development of a climate action plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So today we're presenting Part A, which outlines the current baseline of our corporate emissions, as well as community-based emissions, presenting the preliminary findings and possible future climate impacts. And Part B, which is to come, will set greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, develop action pathways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and meet the targets, as well as engage the community and seek input on the action pathways to meet those targets. Just a bit of explaining the baseline. So I'll go over the corporate emissions as well as the community-based emissions. So to clarify, the corporate emissions is the municipality as a corporation. So basically it's all sources of greenhouse gases through essentially energy use. They're broken up into several categories: water, which uses electricity; wastewater, which uses electricity and natural gas; transportation, which is gasoline and diesel; facilities, which is electricity and natural gas; as well as streetlights, which uses electricity. And the chart on the side of the screen outlines the greenhouse gas emissions by sector. We can see that streetlights and water account for a very small share of greenhouse gas emissions. And I just want to point out that that doesn't mean they use the lowest amount of energy, specifically water. In that fact, electricity usage is very low carbon intense in Ontario due to our just our electrical grid, which has hydroelectric and nuclear power, which is low carbon. So there's not very much greenhouse gas emissions from those sources. The electrical grid does have some natural gas generation, which does account for greenhouse gas from that sector. But if we look at transportation, that is primarily as a corporation gasoline and diesel. And while the energy use from the transportation sector isn't as much as other sectors, the greenhouse gas emissions from transportation represents a lot more because it is a very high carbon intensive energy source. Moving to community emissions, primarily the sources of emissions from our community are transportation, but the residential sector also plays a big role in the emissions from this category. There's also wastewater, agriculture, and forests, as well as industrial, commercial, and institutional sources. Residential is essentially household heating and cooling. Agriculture focuses primarily on livestock and farm transportation. So that would just be diesel and gasoline for farm equipment. Wastewater, that's separate from our corporate emissions, which looks at wastewater as a facility. Wastewater from the community emissions looks directly at the output from our wastewater treatment. So that does represent some emissions. Similarly with solid waste, with our solid waste being landfilled, there is some emissions from that. IC&I, industrial, commercial, institutional, that looks at natural gas and electrical sources from those buildings, essentially. Again, heating and cooling for those facilities. And transportation forms the largest share of greenhouse gas emissions in Mississippi Mills. It's expected due to our rural nature and high percentage of commuters in our area here. The Part A of the Climate Action Plan provides some baseline of historical climate data, but also looks ahead using some very elaborate climate models obtained by climatedata.ca. And just looking ahead, during the baseline period, which is 1991 to year 2020, a 30-year period, the hottest day on average was 34 degrees Celsius. Looking ahead at late century, which is end of our century currently, the hottest day is projected to be around 38 degrees Celsius. And again, these models are assuming the status quo. They're not assuming we're going to ramp up with a ton of greenhouse gas emitting energy sources, like just going back to coal, but it also doesn't assume that everything is getting electrified and we're completely cutting out fossil fuels. So this model is a pretty conservative, keep the status quo right now. Looking at frost days, that's when we see a reduction when compared the late century to the baseline being 152 frost days and late century projections being 121. Looking at growing season, that is number of days over 5 degrees Celsius, that's where we can really start to see the change in our community that these projections really forecast. So the growing day increasing from 244 days to 267 days. Similarly to the frost timing, looking at the growing season and comparing it to this, the baseline, the first fall frost is around October 2nd, that's the median, and the last spring is early May. If we look right to the late century, that brings the first fall frost, the median, to be near the end of October to October 20th, and the last spring frost to be April 19th on average. So it really, I added more of the frost timing and growing season data because it's more relevant to our community being farm-based and agriculture-based. Something I also wanted to note as well is in 2025, we leveraged available grant funding to participate in Net Zero Communities Accelerator program provided by Quest Canada. This program assists municipalities in developing a community energy and emission plan. So that's the process that we're in currently. They've had lots of success in Atlantic provinces so far, and we're part of their first cohort in Ontario to begin this program. To date, right now, we've completed a baseline benchmarking assessment, as well as an internal energy and emissions workshop. Findings from this program have informed aspects of the Part A Climate Action Plan, and we continue to work through this program to obtain a final community energy emissions plan report, which will form part of the final Part B Climate Action Plan. Some areas of focus that we found so far based on the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, as well as the accelerator program benchmark assessment, were some categories that we'll be focusing on in Part B, specifically municipal facilities and buildings. There are some areas that we can improve on for energy efficiency through building energy audits, operational upgrades, and transition of high consumption systems to low carbon alternatives. And we are aware of phase 2 of the building condition municipal facility needs assessment underway right now as well. Looking at municipal fleet and transportation, an area of focus would be to procure lower emission alternatives, including hybrids and zero emission options, but also applying a life cycle analysis lens to that to ensure that we're making the right decision that suits the needs of the municipality and the needs of the fleet as well. And then looking at water and wastewater operations, an area of focus is to implement energy monitoring at a process level, and then review processes for operational efficiencies and prioritize energy efficient equipment through procurement within those facilities. Looking at community emissions, the community emissions are a bit more interesting with respect to climate action planning, because we don't necessarily always have a full say in these items. Whereas with corporate, we can implement policies or change our procedures to meet our goals. With community emissions, we have to set, we can use things like land use policies or grants or other programs to guide community emissions to meet our goals. Looking at transportation, fossil fuels, like I discussed, primarily gasoline, represents a major share of our emissions within Mississippi Mills. If we looked at increasing efficiency within the transportation sector, it would have a large impact. Residential as well, building retrofits and energy efficient upgrades can offer a significant reduction in energy consumption and also greenhouse gas emissions. And something in addition, there could be a possible financial benefit to end users after they undergo building retrofits or energy efficiency upgrades. And then there's also commercial and industrial buildings. So there are opportunities to promote energy efficient building through land use incentives, as well as retrofit partnerships with local utilities as well. And lastly, looking at the next steps, Part B focuses on targets and actions. There are 4 steps that comprise Part B. The first being develop a greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. That is a milestone with a staff report plan for August of this year. Step 2 is to undertake community consultation to present the results of the Part A of the Climate Action Plan, which is the greenhouse gas emissions inventory in categories for improvement. So that's planned to begin June and span through August this year. And we look to generate feedback and insight on action pathways to meet those greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. Step 3 is to develop action pathways for each the community and corporate categories and integrate the prioritization framework provided in Part A. And that will work alongside the community consultation. Further, we'd like to leverage available grant funding to initiate consultant peer review of the draft recommended actions and implementation plan, just as a best practice. And then lastly, create an implementation framework for the recommended action pathways. And that framework will include roles and responsibilities, timing, budgets, and funding opportunities as well. And that is a milestone planned for September of this year. Would you like me to read the recommendation?
Yeah, I would love that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure. The recommendation is that the committee of the whole recommend council receive this report as information, and that staff are directed to complete Part B as follows: develop greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, undertake community consultation, develop recommended action pathways, and create implementation framework.
Thank you very much, Zach. That was a really good report and a good summary as well. Do we have any, first of all, because we've read the motion, do we have a mover and seconder to get it on the floor? Councillor Holmes, Councillor Suter, thank you very much. Is there any discussion or questions for Zach? Councillor Holmes?
Thank you, Zach. That was a great report. And thank you for answering my questions that I sent off to you. And I just, I think, you know, the whole business about burning wood, I know you said that it'll be considered in the last report, but when I did a count around my neighborhood of my 12 nearest neighbors, 6 of them burned wood as their main source. So it certainly, you know, is an important item to consider. And in terms of the agriculture, I do have some contacts that I'll get. I'm not quite sure how they could help you with that, but I will talk to them. And if there's any advice, I'll get them to get in touch with you. Okay?
Great.
Thanks, Zach.
Any other questions? Councillor Ferguson?
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. In reference to page 26 of your report, how many dollars are available from the county to support this?
I believe for this year, there is $7,500 available for grant funding, and that's for a general climate action. But there's also through the Green Municipal Fund, there are lots of available funds for implementing climate action plans and developing adaptation plans. Nothing specifically for the climate action plan for the development of it, but implementing it, there's additional funding through Green Municipal Fund.
Okay. And what about electric vehicles? We're reading different negatives and positives. Some are jumping out of them, some are jumping into them, some provinces are getting out of them. What do you think that's going to happen? What effect do you think that's going to have rather?
So speaking from the grant funding side, I know there is funding available for low interest loans for zero emission vehicles with some low interest loan and grant funding. It's a combination. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like in terms of fleet electrification. I know some neighboring municipalities are doing so, as well as Lanark County. I'm not sure what their how it's going right now. But that's why I think it's important to look at a life cycle analysis, which would include information on how it's going with other municipalities in a municipal setting, to ensure that our needs are met. And if there is an added cost, that it is offset by that lower emission result.
Yep, go ahead.
And what do you, your knowledge of it, propane versus electricity, electrification, do you see propane coming to the forefront or no? Vehicles.
I don't have enough information to comment on propane vehicles. What I do know about that is similar to electric vehicles, it requires specialized technicians to service those vehicles. But propane does emit more greenhouse gases than natural gas. So it might not be an apples to apples comparison.
Good, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Counselor Suter and then Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Zach. That's a very good summary of what's happened and what you plan to do. My specific question has to do with community consultation. Could you tell me what the plan is for the next 3 months or so? I did notice that community consultation will all be taking over the summer months, which is difficult time period to get people excited about going into buildings to have chats. So, and also, have you approached or been approached by the Climate Network Lanark Group, who, as you know, has done a great deal of research and was used by the county in developing their program?
So the consultation, there is a public information center planned. I don't have the date in front of me right now, but there will be public works at that PIC. I see June 22nd. So that's when one of the primary presentations will be there. We'll have boards and gather feedback and present the results of Part A. We'll also be doing some online surveys as well, so people can complete at their own pace. We'll work with the communications department to do some advertising as well and get the conversation started online. So we're open to gather as much feedback as possible on this. And then with respect to Climate Network Lanark or any other community group, we'll reach out and contact whoever we can and work with them to gather feedback on recommended action pathways.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you very much. I got kind of two questions. So one's for Councillor Ferguson. The grant from the county, the $7,500 is a yearly grant, comes from the Climate Action Committee, and it was started out as for electric vehicles, but then they decided they could use it for basically anything, and there's not much of a reporting back to the county for it. You just go and get the money. And the other thing is on the electric vehicles, on the way they're doing their fleet, is that the electric vehicles don't have enough mileage to do road patrol, so it's touch and go all the time, and Ford quit making electric trucks now, and it's a different animal altogether. And I wanted to know, did we have this is for the clerk, did we have a motion before about Climate Action Committee? Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Deputy Mayor, is there either one of those that you wanted in particular? Because we have May resolutions and we have June resolutions of 2024. So almost 2 years ago now. Is there either of those, or do you want to see both? All
I want to see both, please.
both. Okay. Bear with us a second.
Yep.
So we've got May and June up there.
I just, this question's for Zach. I wondered how close you partnered with with the county.
So we didn't partner with the county for this plan. The county's plan focuses on their jurisdiction, which is upper tier. So there's not a whole lot that we can piggyback off of. In terms of the greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, that's where we will align relatively closely with for what I project. And when we develop the action pathways, there might be some similarities as a corporation, but the community-based emissions, that aspect of the climate action plan is relatively different from the upper tier to the lower tier. So there'll be more alignment in Part B than Part A.
Okay, thank you. It just, I thought it was basically the same when it's two municipalities and they're doing the same thing. I thought things would line up a lot better. But I guess
Yeah, that's
not.
a fair point.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, CA O'Kelly first.
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor Ferguson, maybe this is a similar situation.
You just said Deputy Mayor Ferguson.
Oh, sorry. I was looking
Promotion.
at Council Ferguson, sorry.
That's okay.
Deputy Mayor Manili. I think this is probably similar to the way we implemented the community safety well-being plan. You remember the county had an overall plan, and then we went forward and council voted $174,000 for specific initiatives and things like that to make it more relevant or to implement in Mississippi Mills. I think some of what we're doing here is making it a little more local, right? The local plan for local implementation with initiatives that are going to be fully in the control of this council, as opposed to looking at Lanark County and having to get agreement from all the lower tier municipalities about a way forward. This is more within your control as the Council of Mississippi Mills. So anything you don't want to see implemented, it's your decision. Anything you want to see taken further is your decision. Funds that you want to see spent, your decision. Funds you don't want to see spent, your decision. So I think this is really about making it a little more in your control. And it does align back to the resolutions of council in 2024 on this. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Okay. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. Just a question back to Councillor Deputy Mayor Manelli in reference to the county electrical trucks. What are they doing there? Just driving around the parking lot, showing them off? If they can't go outside the county building with them, or what?
No, they can go outside the county building. It's mostly for when they do road inspections and all over the county. So I think they're in the winter, it's hard to get the mileage out of them, and it's better in the summer.
So we obviously don't have enough plug-ins around throughout the county. to accommodate them, right? Is that?
I'm sure, no, I don't know. I think it'd be the waiting around for it to charge up. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to? I know they're nice vehicles. They ride nice. Yeah, they're quiet.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Zach? Any other thoughts? All right, thank you again, Zach. We're going to, we have a mover and seconder, so all in favor of the motion? And that carries. Thanks, Zach. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay. There are no notices of motion tonight, so we're down to quarterly reports. We have the Recreation Department quarterly report and corporate services. If you have any questions about those, feel free to speak to the staff members involved. Are you be okay to go ahead? Okay. So we're down to H, information items, correspondence. I see none. Is that correct? Okay. And the mayor is not here to do the mayor's report, so we'll check in with her at the next meeting. County Council report, Deputy Mayor. Mike. You're going to save it till next week?
Yeah, I'm going to save it till next week. There's
Okay.
not much on there. There are a couple of little small things that didn't.
Okay. Fair enough. MVCA, do we have nothing to report? Okay. Lanark County Police Services Board?
The minutes are in the report.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
And there was a zone 2 meeting. I don't know whether
Okay.
there's any interest in that or not. It's kind of outside the frame of this.
Does anybody have questions for Councillor Ferguson? No, okay,
Okay.
that's good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For the library board report, I did send an email today inviting everyone to come and meet the library staff. There've been quite a few changes lately, so they're having a staff meeting on the 14th of May, and they invited us all to join after for just to get to know them a little bit better. May 14th, yep, 14th of May, 11 a.m. I believe. All right, we are at the meeting calendar. Does anybody have any comments, additions, questions? Nothing? All right, that is adjournment. So we are adjourned at 7:09 p.m. Been a long time since, yeah.